Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. Today's something a little bit more unusual, kind of in the spirit of what we used to do a lot on this channel, like really obscure single barrels and something a bit more unusual. Today I'm talking about Octave. Interesting word, we'll talk about the word later on. But this is a brand from Duncan Taylor, and as you'll see there, it is an Iconic Speyside, which as we all know is code for Glenfarclas. A little bit of backstory about me and Glenfarclas. I've never met anyone from Glenfarclas, and I've never had a chat with anyone about Glenfarclas, never been to a Glenfarclas tasting, but have tried nearly all of their standard range products, and I've never really been that impressed. So, when we were talking about, within the company I work for, the Whisky Shop, we were doing like an online sort of selection with the folks from Duncan Taylor, Sam and Fergus, who is a man of just infinite knowledge. Like, I've never learnt so much about the old whiskey trade and like the history of it all, especially about a blend that Duncan Taylor own called Black Bull, which has got one of the most interesting histories ever, and it's pretty affordable, so I'll be probably reviewing that quite soon as well when I get some more in stock. But on that selection was a peated Bunnahabhain, a sherry cask, well, an Octave finished, well, an Octave matured Glengarry, and this. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I know that's Glenfarclas. Am I ready to be fundamentally disappointed again? Because I don't know what it is about Glenfarclas. I know they've, prior to price increases, I know it was great if you wanted to try like 21-year-olds and 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds and stuff. But I tried them and just kind of thought, yeah, it's an affordable 30-year-old, but it's not the best 21, 25 whiskey that I'd ever tried, certainly. Not even in like the realms of heavily sherried influence. Like, there are still some absolute bangers these days. Things like Arran 18, Arran 21, which are still pretty affordable in the grand scheme of it all. Anyway, don't want to go on a rant about that. I have previously reviewed a bottle of Glenfarclas on this channel, which was a 1994 vintage, which was also a bottle for the Whisky Shop. I enjoyed that product, and it was bought for me as a birthday present many years ago. I think it was like 2015 or something. So I was bought that as a gift and enjoyed it, and it was tasty for a 20-year-old Glenfarclas. It was only £80. So again, affordable. This was a little bit more expensive, and it's only it's an 11-year-old, my mistake. This was a lot more expensive. This was like 90 quid. It is statistics for you. 11 years old, distilled in 2010. 95 bottles of it were produced. This is bottle 75. It was bottled in 2022. It spent 7 months in an Octave cask. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it is bottled at 54.4% ABV. I haven't touched this for a while, and there's like, I don't know if you'll be able to pick up on like the pool of sediment, which is just kind of gathered on the bottom of that. You see that right dark circle? Yeah, all the sediment's just kind of separated. What is an Octave? So, on the back of here, you will see a small sort of demonstratory symbol. So you take a cask of whiskey, you split it up into some smaller barrels, and you bottle it. Essentially what an Octave is. An Octave is, for those musical fans out there, it's an eighth the size of a standard sherry cask. So as a result of doing that, you impart a darker colour, and you impart a characteristic on a whiskey which may not normally have been influenced by sherry in its regular range. This being a Glenfarclas, its back origin is quite interesting. So it's an 11-year-old product. If you minus the 7 months it spent in an Octave barrel, prior to that it was in a bourbon cask. And that instantly kind of got me interested, because I've never tried Glenfarclas from a bourbon barrel. Even some of the lighter coloured family casks I've seen from Glenfarclas were just really knackered barrels. So, knackered sherry barrels, or sherry casks I should say. So I'd never seen anything which had been matured from Glenfarclas purely in bourbon, and essentially with a double maturation in a very small sherry cask. So I thought that was really interesting, and then I smelt it, and the smell just hooked me. This particular style of Glenfarclas was also very, very gently peated to 3 ppm. I don't know if that's a standard for Glenfarclas. It may indeed be. That's prior to distillation though. So even after distillation, you are not going to taste that at all. So, colour. Very nice kind of classic whiskey colour, I suppose. Darker than most 11-year-old stock, or even 12-year-old stock, but a beautiful kind of golden syrup, honeyed thing going on with it. The smell, which essentially sold me on the bottle straight away. And indeed, it is still there. Considering this thing has spent maturation in both bourbon and sherry and hasn't even touched rum, the smell is just rum and raisin ice cream. I can get like boozy soaked raisins, but it doesn't feel like sherry. It feels like rum. It feels sugarier and thicker and richer and just much more intense. Behind that, and straight away behind the rum and raisin thing, there is this thin wall of alcohol. I keep throwing my nose into this glass quite intensely. Behind that, there's this beautiful combo of like just vanilla ice cream and coffee. I think like affogato, when you float ice cream on coffee, or cover ice cream in coffee. There's just that. Like, I'm sold on that. That is like my cup of tea. Behind all that too, there is just a general kind of creaminess. I don't know if that's the ice cream thing playing with my senses in a way, but the smell of it just feels thick and indulgent and just overall quite delicious. So I've not tried this for about a week. Let's give it a go. It's been a while since I've drank a cask strength product. Well, a cask strength whiskey. This delivers in every single way I could ever want a cask strength Speyside to do something. Every single place that I put this thing on my tongue, in my mouth, it just keeps delivering flavour. Like bag after bag and bucket after bucket of flavour. So, I work in reverse. Finish. The rum and raisin thing is back, and it is providing you with this sticky, rich, just overall like luxurious feel. It has, this isn't the ppm thing talking, but there's like a slight hint of like tobacco leaf. Not smoke, but like the feel you kind of get in your throat after smoking a particularly good cigar. And then there's like a chocolate sauce element, a caramelly thing. The alcohol is gone, but my tongue is still just coated in the syrupiness of this stuff. It's like oil, it just won't go away, and I'm not complaining. One more try. Like if you like Glenfarclas, or if you like sherry, this thing is like you've distilled really kind of intense, slightly sweet espresso, but you've like melted like a block of chocolate into it or something. It's like a weird amalgamation of like espresso macchiato. Not macchiato. Which one's got chocolate on it? Is it mocha? It's mocha, isn't it? Oh, mocha, macchiato. Espresso, chocolate. The rum thing's back, and the rum thing is working, which is almost like cinnamon sugar. There's slight citrusiness to it as well, like not lemon, but like lime, or maybe even orange juice, just kind of cutting through the back of it. Something a bit sharper and a bit more bitter, which does work with the coffee note. And then as you go to like just swallow it again, like it fills up every single sensory organ that you can find on your face. Like I can feel it behind my eyes, and it's just delicious. It's just really, really good. And maybe I should pay more attention to independently bottled Glenfarclas, because I can't really afford the Family Cask Range. And if you don't like the regular range of a product, chances are you're not going to fork out £200 plus on a single cask limited edition. But this is lovely. So it's about £90. There were only 95 bottles produced of it. I think every shop only got like 3 or 4. We got 3, and I bought one of them. But this is my first Octave bottling. But I've been quite impressed with everything so far. Oh, I forgot to show you the back. So on the back, if the camera will pick it up, the top section of notes here, that was what the whiskey was like prior to it going into the Octave. And then the bottom is what it went into, what the flavour notes were after it went in. I've not actually read this, but like chocolate caramel, lime zest, almonds, warm spice. And before that, lime juice, salt and spice, white chocolate. So overall, an extremely creamy style of distillate. Maybe Glenfarclas should bottle more stuff in bourbon. Maybe. Try something new, always fun. I was lucky enough to try this. I don't know if shops will have any stock open just because there was so little of it delivered. But if you're into cash strength, sherry influenced, fun, rich profiles, this is incredible. I'm going to give that a solid 8.5. I think it's very, very, very tasty and is a range I'll be paying much more attention to, because when we tried the Glengarry, which came in like the same bottling series as this, it was the most un-Glengarry I'd ever tried, because the initial arrival was like really quite similar to this, like soft and gentle. You're kind of waiting for the kick, and then as soon as you swallowed it, all the flavour arrived at once with this Glengarry. It was like super peanutty and like almost like a raspberry pistachio thing on the finish. It was really bizarre. The peated Bunnahabhain was incredible, and I think that's pretty much all sold out. And then we tried Black Bull 12-year-old and Black Bull peated, which are their blended whiskies, which are 50% grain, 50% malt, and 50% alcohol. Good combination. I was quite blown away by the 12, and it's only about £40 a bottle. So I'll be picking one of those up to review. And the peated edition was also pretty good, and that's only about £30 a bottle. Those are all 50% alcohol, natural colour, non-chill filtered. And we always talk about integrity malt whiskies and all this kind of stuff. And I know blended malts are getting a little bit more praise now, certainly from whiskey awards and things like that, and customer perception overall. But never talked about integrity blended whiskies. Mainly because I suppose not a lot of them exist. But even as an overarching term of a blended whiskey, be it a classic blend or a blended malt, whatever, we should probably start paying more attention to Black Bull, because if you've not tried those two whiskies, you can buy them both for 70 quid, which is quite impressive. They're both 50% ABV. One contains heavily peated Bunnahabhain, and the other one is an absolute sherry demon. So yeah, watch this space. Black Bull stuff coming up quite soon, as soon as it comes back in stock anyway. But yeah, thank you all for watching. This is an Iconic Speyside from 2010. That was an 8.5 out of 10 from me. I am Phil, and I will see you all next week. Oh no, I'll see you all on Sunday, hopefully with a really nice rum. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Cheers.